General Hospital.
The truth has a way of finding its way to the surface, no matter how deeply it has been buried. In Port Charles, secrets rarely stay hidden for long, and when they finally emerge, they often leave lives changed forever. For months, Chase believed that he and Brook Lynn had finally reached a place of stability. After weathering countless challenges together, they appeared stronger than ever. Their marriage had survived misunderstandings, family interference, and personal struggles that would have broken many couples. Chase thought they had learned how to face anything together. What he never expected was that the greatest threat to their future would come from a secret Brook Lynn had been carrying all along. The revelation came during what should have been an ordinary evening. The tension in Brook Lynn's expression immediately caught Chase's attention. She seemed distracted, nervous, and unable to meet his eyes. At first, Chase assumed it was another family issue. The Quartermain family was never short on drama. But this was different. Brook Lynn sat quietly for several moments before finally speaking. Every word seemed difficult to say. She admitted that she had withheld information regarding a situation involving Willow. What started as a simple confession quickly turned into something much larger. As Brook Lynn explained the circumstances, Chase felt the room grow colder around him. The details were complicated. Decisions had been made behind the scenes. Information had been hidden. Actions had been taken that affected Willow's life in ways she never realized. Brook Lynn insisted her intentions had never been malicious. She believed she was protecting people she cared about. Unfortunately, intentions and consequences are often very different things. The more Chase listened, the more troubled he became. His entire career had been built on honesty and accountability. Even when the truth was painful, he believed people deserved to know it. Hearing that his own wife had participated in keeping important facts hidden struck him harder than he expected. Brook Lynn could see the disappointment growing in his eyes. She tried to explain herself. She described the pressure she had been under. She talked about impossible choices and fears that had influenced her decisions. She admitted she had convinced herself that keeping quiet was the best option. But as she spoke, Chase found himself struggling with a question he could not ignore. If she had hidden this secret, what else might she be hiding? Trust is difficult to build and easy to destroy. For Chase, that trust had been the foundation of their marriage. Without it, everything suddenly felt uncertain. The days that followed were filled with uncomfortable silence. Conversations that once came naturally now felt forced. Every interaction carried the weight of Brook Lynn's confession. Friends and family quickly sensed that something was wrong. Neither Chase nor Brook Lynn wanted to discuss their problems publicly, but Port Charles has never been a place where personal struggles remain private for long. Rumors began circulating. People noticed Chase spending more time alone. They noticed Brook Lynn appearing increasingly emotional. They noticed the distance growing between them. Meanwhile, Willow remained unaware of the full impact the confession was having on Chase and Brook Lynn's relationship. She had her own challenges to face and her own future to consider. What none of them realized was that the consequences of one secret were about to spread far beyond a single marriage. As Chase wrestled with his emotions, he sought advice from people he trusted. Some encouraged forgiveness, others urged caution. Several reminded him that everyone makes mistakes. Yet the more Chase reflected on the situation, the more he understood that his struggle was not simply about the secret itself. It was about the choice to keep it. Again and again, he replayed Brook Lynn's words in his mind. Again and again, he wondered why she had not come to him sooner. Again and again, he questioned whether their relationship could truly recover. Brook Lynn desperately wanted to repair the damage. She apologized repeatedly. She promised complete honesty moving forward. She assured Chase there would never be another secret between them. But apologies cannot instantly heal broken trust. Every relationship reaches a moment when both people must decide whether the future is worth fighting for. For Chase and Brook Lynn, that moment had arrived. As the pressure mounted, Brook Lynn turned to her family for support. The Quartermaines responded the only way they knew, with strong opinions and endless advice. Some believed Chase was overreacted. Others acknowledged that he had every right to feel betrayed. The divided reactions only made the situation more complicated. Brook Lynn found herself caught between defending her choices and accepting responsibility for them. For perhaps the first time, she was forced to confront the possibility that love alone might not be enough. Meanwhile, Chase continued searching for clarity. He remembered the promises they had made to one another. He remembered the dreams they had shared. He remembered every obstacle they had overcome. Yet he also remembered the pain he felt when the truth finally emerged. No matter how hard he tried, he could not ignore that feeling. The emotional weight followed him everywhere, at work, at home, even during moments when he desperately wanted to think about something else. The future he had imagined suddenly seemed uncertain. One evening, after another difficult conversation, Chase reached a conclusion he had been avoiding. He realized that staying in the marriage while struggling with unresolved resentment would only create more pain for both of them. The decision broke his heart. It was not made in anger. It was not made out of revenge. It was made because he no longer knew how to move forward. When Chase finally shared his decision with Brook Lynn, the moment was devastating. She was stunned. Even though she knew their marriage was in trouble, part of her believed they would eventually find their way back to one another. Hearing Chase speak those words shattered that hope. Tears filled her eyes as she pleaded for another chance. She reminded him of everything they had survived together. She reminded him of the love they still shared. She reminded him that people can grow from their mistakes. For a moment, Chase appeared torn. The pain on Brook Lynn's face was impossible to ignore. But deep down, he knew he could not make such an important decision based solely on emotion. He needed certainty, and certainty was something he no longer possessed. As news of the separation spread through Port Charles, reactions came quickly. Friends expressed shock. Family members took sides. Speculation intensified. Everyone wanted to know whether the marriage was truly over or whether reconciliation remained possible. The answer was far from clear. Because despite everything that had happened, neither Chase nor Brook Lynn had stopped caring about one another. Love remained. Trust did not. And without trust, even the strongest feelings can struggle to survive. At the center of the controversy stood Willow, whose name continued appearing in conversations she never expected. As more details emerged, she began understanding how many lives had been affected by decisions made long ago. The realization left her with mixed emotions. She felt sympathy for Brook Lynn. She understood Chase's disappointment. Most of all, she wished none of it had happened. Yet wishes cannot change the past. The only thing any of them could control was what happened next. Weeks passed. Emotions slowly settled. The initial shock faded, but the questions remained. Would Chase eventually forgive Brook Lynn? Could Brook Lynn prove she had truly changed? Was their marriage permanently broken or merely facing its greatest challenge? No one knew. What everyone did know was that the story was far from ending. In Port Charles, endings rarely stay endings for long. Relationships evolve. Secrets continue to surface. Unexpected alliances form. Old wounds reopen. And sometimes, when least expected, second chances appear. For Chase and Brook Lynn, the road ahead remained uncertain. They stood at a crossroads where every decision carried consequences. One path led toward acceptance and moving on. Another led toward forgiveness and rebuilding.
Neither path would be easy. Both required courage. As they faced the future, one truth became impossible to deny. The confession had changed everything. It had exposed hidden fractures beneath the surface of a seemingly strong marriage. It had forced difficult conversations that could no longer be avoided, and it had reminded everyone involved that honesty, however painful, is often the only path forward. Whether Chase's decision would ultimately become the final chapter of his marriage or merely the beginning of a new one remained to be seen. But one thing was certain. The consequences of this revelation would continue shaping lives throughout Port Charles for a long time to come. As emotions remain high and relationships continue evolving, all eyes remain on what happens next. Will understanding eventually replace disappointment? Will forgiveness overcome hurt? Or will this confession become the moment that permanently changed multiple lives forever? Only time will reveal the answer, and when it does, the impact will be felt by everyone connected to this unforgettable story.